How's it going, everyone? My name's Jeff. Welcome to another episode of Up North Live. Joining me, as always, is Isaac 556 by 45. How are you doing, Isaac?
Doing well. Had a busy day, but I'm excited to be here and talk about some great history. Pretty interesting subjects you have lined up here. So,
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
good. And Andrew joining us again. How are we doing, bud?
Ahoy, hoy. I'm here for the copper news and updates.
You got a little stuffiness going on.
Yeah, it's allergies. There's a lot of dead things outside. We hit fall colors, and now it's killing me. But that's, tradition.
Yeah. Oh, it snowed today. It snowed this morning.
You guys got snow today?
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
It didn't stick, but it still
Of
snowed.
course.
But
yeah.
Yeah. And
What
joining
time?
us, yeah, for sure. Joining us, very special guest. Was able to meet him at the A.A.P.S conference a couple weeks ago up in Harris, Michigan. But we've been interacting for, I'd say, 6-7 months on X, back and forth on YouTube. But welcome, Ricardo Calvario.
Oh, well,
Yes,
first
welcome.
of all, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. So it's a pleasure, and I think we'll have a pleasant conversation discussing this topic that is dear to all of us. So
Mm-hmm.
looking
It's
forward
nice to
to
have
it.
some knowledge on the show for once. Instead of the three of us just rambling about random topics of things.
So who is it? Is it Jeff or Isaac?
It's all of
That
us.
would be Jeff. Jeff, yes, I'm the normie, but I'm very interested and I like to ask questions. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a
Yep.
local to the up north area though, the UP. I'm a
No.
New Englander. So
Yeah, and Andy's from the same town I'm at, so he's up here in the north as well with us, with me.
Yeah.
But figured
It's a different world. I've been there. It's a
yeah,
different
you've been doing
world.
a lot of traveling.
Yeah, it's a different world up there.
It's nice. It's quiet.
You got Rue. How's it going, Rue?
Oh, welcome, Rue.
Yeah. Sahara Cosmos. Yo,
Oh.
hey.
Hi, Sarah.
good to
All
see
right.
everybody in the chat tonight.
Yeah. Figured we'd start off with the like I was talking the press release that Ricardo first posted in, when was that? April. If I can find the right button here. Sorry, folks. This is actually the second one, I believe. And this was written by, you said, Rick Osmond and yourself.
Well,
Or you
Rick
helped
Osmond
with
wrote
it?
it. I just gave a small revision, but it was written by Rick Osmond.
Okay. So
He's a big part on this, and he's one of the people that one of the persons have been studying this. I don't know, 30
Mhm.
years. So his knowledge is invaluable in all of these aspects.
yeah, I was able to meet Rick at last year's conference. So, and I didn't know who he was really at the time, and then I saw a name pop up with the this article here, this press release, and all this, the research on the testing of the copper. And if I do recall, some of the Bronze Age tools that they did the testing on tested higher than what smelting can achieve for purity, to where it matched up with Michigan's copper.
So from the pieces that were tested, two of them showed to be 99.9% pure. So that's impossible to obtain higher than 99.6 in smelting. So because the ore doesn't allow it, because there's a lot of impurities, it's quite different from float copper or native copper, because it doesn't have anything. It's just the copper that is there. It's extracted, is malleable. It doesn't need to be smelted, or it can just be melted into a mold and the piece is done. So it's a completely different thing. And the problem with this testing and the pieces that Jake Wakefield so generously gave for this is that they didn't have any provenience or provenance. And so that's the backslash that academics have given to this testing, is the fact that the pieces, although are clearly from the UP area, they can't be confirmed that they did came from the old world, or they were found, or they are actual Bell Beaker pieces. So they don't accept it, and that's why they are doing all efforts. And let me give you the names, because I want to give you the right names of the people that
Yeah.
are doing this. So this is the testing is being financed by mainly by John Lefgren. There is the head of the Heartland Research Group. This is being done in collaboration with his partner Blaise Colassant and Boyd Tuttle. That I think you met him also at the convention.
I must have. Yeah, actually, I do. Yeah, he
So
was. I
Boyd
think he was sitting
Tuttle
behind me.
not only participated in the voyage of the Phoenicia that we probably will speak today.
Yep, that's what I was
Not only
thinking.
was he was on board, he's also now the one that's going to meet very soon an art dealer and try to obtain pieces that are undoubtedly from where they say they are, and they will have provenience and provenance, because this individual also sells for museums, so it's considered the number one art dealer, so antique dealer in this case. So we are very hopeful that if we get the pieces, and then we have to get the funding, because it's around $8,000, because
Oh, okay.
it is the price of the extraction.
That was my
Caltech
first question: was how much
Cal,
would it
yeah,
cost, and is it
Caltech takes a lot of money, and they charge by hour, and then it has to be shipped in very specific conditions, which the shipping is very expensive. And then the Lulia lab, that is one of the, if not the most advanced lab in the world for metals testing, because they are testing in parts per billion instead of parts per million as other places. All of this together, it amounts more or less like that. So it's expensive. By the way, on this chart,
hmm
when you see the yellows, I don't know if you can do a zoom in.
Yeah, I tried. It's not letting me zoom in on it.
Oh, okay. It doesn't go
But
further than that.
I can save it, and
So
here I'll do that.
so those are the pieces that whose values are of interest in this test. The only one that is there and was not tested at Lulia, and some people might not get it when they read it, is the A.P.S X. What is there? What is there are the results of part per million, and are different isotopes that were tested. That's why some results are not put in, and it is a typo, because when I was researching for the presentation, I looked and back checked and checked again. And so from both what I obtained from the museum that has the piece and from the university that conducted the lead testing on the piece, that's why they say it's from Italy, the lead isotopes, they both state individually, I obtained from both sides individually, that the purity of the A.P.S X is 99.73%. So immediately, with this result, it can't be from the old world, because the purity is too high, right? And the level of impurities is because Otzi did a special treatment to his own axe. We believe that because the arsenic that he's had on his hair, because he's going to die anyway, he was suffering severe poisoning from arsenic, shows that he was meddling with the same treatment he gave to his axe that made it 20 to 30% more resistant without being bronze. It's like a midway between copper and bronze. And I have the old differences. If this is relevant, I can show the diagram of the differences. I can share the
I was
screen.
not aware that Otzi
Yeah.
dabbled
Let's
in
see.
metallurgy. That's
got it.
pretty cool. I was not aware.
Yeah,
Of that.
most likely.
There we go.
Wow.
So
Oh, there it is, enhanced.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
Okay, I think this. Whoa, this one is for 10 levels. You get the other one up. The copper.
Well, bronze, that if you read up top, is bronze, right? So
Yep, I
bronze
was looking at
is
yellow.
copper with tin. So it's on a relation of 10 to 1. That's why in the Uluburun ship you find 10 tons of copper and 1 ton of tin. It was prepared to produce 10 tons of copper. Of bronze.
Now,
The exact
was it?
measure.
I believe was it for the mixture? It's supposed so usually 90% copper and 10% tin.
No,
to smelt
it's
in the bronze, or was it?
well, you can put it that way, but it's
Okay.
both copper and tin are placed in as the purest as they can get. That's why I'm not putting the 90% one and 10% the other, because it's the mixture of the two metals. But it's a relation is 10 to 1. So 10 tons of copper, 1 ton of tin produces 10 tons of bronze.
Okay. This
That's
is
why the values of tin spike, because it's bronze and not copper.
okay. Yeah. So right here, the Michigan copper 99.9,
Yeah,
99.9.
yeah. And
Old world copper. Sorry, go ahead, Ricardo.
No, I was saying this is not the one that has what is that? Oh, it is. You see 99.3, that value is wrong. It was a typo. It's 7.3. 99.73. It
Wow.
misses the 7 before the 3.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it can't be from the old world. Well, when I say it can't, thanks to the interaction of an academic to my paper, although he wasn't the easiest person to talk about, I did learn something, and he led me into research about new studies about copper in what's Ukraine.
Okay.
So what I found out is, and funny enough, he led me to read a paper that is from an independent researcher and not an academic. That was the funny part. But the individual has lots of quotes and citations, and although the paper deals, lots of it is about political statements regarding that Russia deprived them of their culture, and the studies that were done on the copper were all made by the Russians, and the Russians didn't divulge what they found and hide it, because they say they found native copper in Ukraine. So that's a huge thing, because it's not known anywhere else but the UP. So the thing is, they're trying to say that they mined 100 tons, right? But you can't see the missing 100 tons, because float copper, you will see where it was done, and you can't see it anywhere. And more, it was only mined until the beginning of the Bronze Age, which makes no sense. It was mined from 6000 BC to 5000 BC, right? And so most of the papers that I read about it claim a purity of 99.76. So it's not as pure as the UP copper. It's still float copper, but has a slightly more impurities, right? I don't know about the mercury, because the mercury is one fingerprints of the Upper Peninsula copper. Because when copper is formed, above 500 degrees Celsius, the mercury will evaporate. So copper is always found without mercury, because it evaporates when the copper is forming naturally. In the case of the Upper Peninsula copper, is a very rare geological phenomenon, because the pressure of how it was created kept the mercury in the metal. So when Lulia Labs tested the samples, they said, we never seen mercury. How do you get mercury in the copper? We never seen it. And they are one of the most advanced labs in the world. So it was new to them that copper could have mercury. It's very unique. It's a fingerprint. So if we find copper in the old world that has mercury, it's proven. You don't need anything else, because it's the only place that has it. I don't know what you guys want to ask more. I talk. So
No, that's fine. No, I was gonna touch on that mercury in the copper right here for Michigan's copper. Excuse me. We got 1900 and 1500. Nothing in Otzi's axe. And then for the
it wasn't
bronze,
tested. It wasn't tested.
oh, it wasn't tested. Oh, that's right. Okay, these are just the test results that they had from before. And then, but for the bronze pieces, less than 50. And that's parts per, was it billion or million?
That is per billion.
Okay, yeah, right there.
The
So,
only
yeah, but
one that
I
isn't
mean,
per billion is A.P.S because it was tested, but only for for the lead isotopes, and that is
okay.
another thing that it's worth saying. When you see they claim that the piece came from this or that place because they tested the lead isotopes,
Mhm.
that only shows us where the lead came from. Or the
Okay.
tin. When they test for the tin, it only shows where the tin came from, right? It doesn't show us that the copper that is on the piece came from where the tin came from. They're presuming that things come together when it doesn't happen, right? Because it has to have certain levels in order to you to test it. So the elements that come naturally might not be detected if they are testing for it. So it's an added material that they are testing. So
Hmm.
in the case of Otsitsak, they say it comes from Tuscany, that is about 500 kilometers from where it was found, because the lead traced back to Tuscany. But it doesn't say where the copper came from, right? Because as we've seen, 99.73% pure, it can't come from Italy. Because if you pull in my paper the mines from Italy, you will see the levels of purity that can be obtained, and it has no relation whatsoever with 99.73.
Do you think they would ever be willing to test out these X again with the newer technology and equipment to this new lab?
I think their perspective is there is nothing more to be tested or nothing more to be proved, because for them the lead isotope tests prove that it came from Tuscany, and they don't care about anything else. So it would require it's like the police saying, "Okay, I will let you go because it's too much paperwork." You
Mhm.
know, they say, so I'm not willing to write all of this down again. So someone let the next generation that comes deals with it. It
Mm.
will come up eventually, right? But
Oop,
yeah,
went the wrong way. I don't know what happened there.
I think if you hit the space bar, it just skips.
Oh, okay. I know the Italy one wasn't too long. I don't think. Right there.
it has a few.
Okay, so I guess I can't zoom in for some reason.
If
And I went the
you
wrong way.
downloaded it, you could. Yeah, I don't think on the web. You're
I
zooming
didn't
in enough.
download it to my computer. I downloaded it on my phone.
Okay, but I can share it. I have it here with me.
Why don't you do that? You got it. You got a better.
Let me
Yeah, if you
just
ever need me
Yeah.
to pull up any screens, Jeff, I can zoom in fairly easily. Here
Okay.
too, if you ever
It's
need.
certain sites and certain applications don't let me zoom in on it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Have you
Know
tried
what's
the
going on
shortcut
there.
Alt F4?
Yeah, I did that once on
and
your.
try that one. Do it when you're in StreamYard, though. Do it when
Yeah.
you're in that tab.
okay. I
Let's see
already
who's in
have
the
the
chat.
Italy open, so it's
You
easy.
got it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I just have to start share now.
Yeah. Let me get mine off of there. Barbie,
Share screen.
Shaman, Magwai.
Windows. Where are you? You are here. Here. Can you see it?
Yes.
So
Let's see. Okay, go ahead.
you can see it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So this
Can we?
and here you
Sure.
can see the ore type, right, of the
Mhm.
mines. It's all basically the same. When it was mined from, to the dates. I'll minimize and then you'll see better. Wait. So, but the point I was making is, I go through the purity of each mine, and this is the top that they could get: 98.7, 98.6, 98.7, 98.6, 98.6, 98.6. So nothing close to 99.73.
Yeah,
So
that's a
and
solid percentage off of that. Yeah.
it's just it can't it isn't from Italy. It just isn't. Even if it's proven that by some chance, and this is why I was proposing that there is this new finding of
Mhm.
native copper in Ukraine, but even by some chance it was a piece coming from float copper of the Ukraine, it isn't from Italy just the same. right? But I don't know if I finished that. I'm just saying that in terms of the papers that I read, about 17 or 18 for the Ukraine float copper. Not only they say that it was mined only from 6,000 to 5,000, uh, it was in very low quantity compared to what they find. What they find is very unique copper axes that are very long. They look like pickaxes. Although we know that pickaxes wouldn't work because copper is too soft. The first time that it hit something, it would create a dent in it, right? So they have to be ritualistic, but they are quite unique because they are quite long. So and the funny thing of the paper that claims authority on why the copper from Ukraine didn't go anywhere is because they say that the wheel wasn't invented yet, so there wasn't long distance trade before the wheel was invented, which I found very curious because it's completely wrong. Right? So
Yeah, it's.
it's,
I
it's,
mean, yeah, it didn't allegedly the Maya were building all that stuff with the trade networks, and they didn't have the wheel. Allegedly,
well,
they're saying, or was it the Aztec or Inca? I can't remember which one. I
yeah,
remember
but
hearing
that
about
is
that
another
things.
aspect. Is have you found wheels in the archaeological record? Think a little bit. In the Maya, in the Aztec, have we found perfectly round wheels?
The only one that I'm aware of is on a child's toy. That I've actually been
So
brought my
how
attention.
about the solar calendars?
Oh, that's kind of a big one.
So you create a piece like that and you don't understand its roles. You don't
Yeah.
understand
Yes.
what a wheel is.
I'm thinking of the ancient grain mills in ancient Israel. The grain
So
mills, the round
they know
own.
about the wheel. It's just not practical for their terrain. How is a wheel going to on the pathways of the Andes or whatever is their environment? It doesn't work. The llama is a much more efficient way of transporting things than the wheel. They don't need it, right?
Hmm.
So, and the Tuaregs, for instance, that whose hundreds of generations before them probably they didn't call themselves as such. The Garmantes, for instance, in Roman times, it's the beginning of they already had the wheel and they still didn't use it. What for? It doesn't work in the desert. So
Huh.
Yeah, it's very terrain based. Wagon
sure,
wheels don't work on all terrains. Yes,
it's more
need roads.
complicated. Yeah, it's more complicated to understand, but it's exactly the same thing with written language. Written language was done not as a means of communication, but as a means of records. That's why the cuneiform tablets, 99% of them are just saying X grain enter, X grain exit.
Yeah,
This person knows this, that person knows that. So it's only later on they start, oh, let me, instead of memorizing this, let me start putting this on a plate, this tale instead of having. So it wasn't needed because the passing of oral tradition was a thing that was as well followed as the written text. It was memorized exactly as it was from generation to generation. They didn't need the writing, right? So and they
Yeah.
most of them didn't trade beyond themselves, so they don't need a city management writing of what is being put in and put out in terms of stock. So it's in terms of need and not in terms of capacity, I think. So
No.
I would say that's a fair assessment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I mean, just like you said, keeping track of trading and all that stuff, which is especially if you're expanding out. Yeah,
Yeah,
the wheel.
storehouses, even banking, ancient banking and stuff, all sorts of stuff would have to keep documentation for the census, for population. Depending on the advancement of it. But
sure, but whatever writing appears is for logistical terms. I think this is the best definition.
Yeah,
Not for lyrical applications, but for logistical things.
yep.
No.
yeah. Excuse me.
But we couldn't go back to copper.
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
I was gonna say, going back to what you were saying about in Ukraine, how they didn't trade because they didn't have the wheel.
Yeah,
I think that's where we
what they
left off
say.
before we got on that.
That's the reason why they say that the the mining and the the use of the copper was all local, so
Mhm.
minor exportation, because the quantities are very low in all of them. It's just one decided 100,000 tons out of nowhere. Well, I'm quoting it to be fair, but it makes no sense because it doesn't appear anywhere. So neither in the mining, neither in the tools, neither in the artifacts, it's a quantity that doesn't appear, and especially in 1,000 years, it's too fast for that amount.
Yeah, because I assume they'd be using rocks and chisels and fire setting, just like, which is another odd kind of connection between old world mining and Michigan mining. They use almost identical techniques at the same time, thousands of miles in ocean apart.
Sure. The thing
So
is, when they got to UP, they realized they only had to heat up the rocks and then pour cold water into them, and they
Mhm.
crack the stone and take the nuggets out, or take long sheets of copper. So the one that I saw in the museum up there, it's 9 tons. 9 tons is more than certain mines did in 3,500 years in the old world in one piece.
well,
Because when you're mining, and if you go back to that slide, oh, I can put it here.
as I say, you got it on your end better. You
Yeah,
can zoom in on it.
I can put it in. The rate of ore mined and copper. Let me see if I can change the slide. So what? Let me see. It's this one. Because unfortunately the order is all changed.
That's an interesting comment. As a partially finished person, I'd be interested in looking into
Yeah.
that. It's kind of cool.
I have to remember that. I'm gonna write that down so I can look into it. If we can find anything on it anywhere.
Central Finland. I wonder up in Lapland area a bit. I bet.
It's this one. So share screen, window.
And then to answer Rubate earlier, Ricardo, can they ask you questions in the chat if they had something they want to ask you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Feel free. Sorry it took so long. Didn't want to cut anyone off.
So here it is. So the carbonate ores, okay, there is one of the types of the ores that you can have.
Here you go.
You have a weight to copper ratio of 2 to 5%. Okay.
Okay.
So this means that in 100 kilos, you take 5 kilos. So that's how the academics calculate how much was extracted from the mines from the slag that is found, and gives them a ratio of how much copper was extracted in a certain period of time. That includes layers, includes other things. But so I'm trying to find, sulfide ores, for instance, has let me see the ratio of 1 to 4%, which means in 100 kilos you can take only 1 kilo to 4 kilos of copper.
Oh wow.
Okay, so, and the mixed ores, chalcopyrite, and what's the other one? I can't remember the names right now. Does he say?
I think. I think I might know.
Sulfides and chalcopyrite. I think it's that the difference.
Okay.
I can.
Yeah,
do I
copper
have it here?
sulfate. Yeah.
Okay, so goes to 1 to 5% again. So this is why we see the values for the mines. Let me see.
No, this is percentage of the copper in,
Yeah.
like, say, the rock, in 100 kilograms of the rock and the
Sure.
minerals, everything.
When you see it's malachite and chalcopyrite, for instance,
Mhm.
right? from 2 to 6%. So if you think of 10 to 30 tons extracted from 4500 to 1000 BC, you have to imagine that this is only 2 to 5% of all of the material that was taken from the mines. You see my point?
Okay. Yeah.
So in from it's the thing that we were talking before. For each 10 kilos, for each 100 kilos, it's only up to 5 kilos. So if you have 10 tons to 30 tons, just imagine the amount there is in slag. It's huge.
Yeah. That's one hell of an operation.
Yeah,
They had to
it's
have-
huge. Let me stop sharing, go back to you guys because I can't see you when I'm sharing. Here I am.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's and excuse me. I think the estimates for Michigan's copper mining was it 500 million to a billion pounds, not tons, I believe.
The
Which
total
is-
the total mine
Yeah.
the total mine varies
I know you-
from the low estimates are around 100,000 tons, and the high estimates are average at 500,000 tons. Although some academics defend 680,000 tons. Not independent researchers, academics. Some defend 680,000 tons. So this corresponds, and I can tell you exactly, this corresponds to the material extracted to the artifacts in the archaeological record. Where am I? This represents, where is it?
Volcanic activity. That's why we have so much copper. That's the easy version.
So in the artifacts, they calculate a minimum of 1,000 tons to a maximum of 5,000 tons in artifacts that are made of copper. Okay. Remember
Okay.
that the extraction was 100,000 to 500,000. So it's like 1% maximum of the copper extracted is related to the copper found. And when we go to the old world, let me see if I find my slide so I don't say anything wrong. Oops. So the deficit percentage in the old world is 89 to 99.76% of the copper is missing. So in order for the copper and the bronze age exist, the copper that you didn't find where it came from goes from 89 to 99.76%. That's the amount of copper that is required beyond what was mined to create what we find in the archaeological record. And this is what academics, not all of them, but those that are serious, call the copper paradox. And this is a term that comes probably since the 80s. So they know that there exists this problem. They just don't go further and try to answer the question.
Yeah, and I mean, I know there's still people finding all sorts of copper tools and arrowheads, spear points, and stuff like that. But I mean, those are gonna weigh what, 3 ounces a piece, if best.
Oh, but that's
You
not
could
negative, Jeff, because that increases the deficit. Because in the case of the Americas, it doesn't matter how much they find, because they'll never find 500,000 tons in artifacts. So it doesn't matter if they find more 3 tons or more 10 tons, right? Because the copper missing in the New World is still magnitudes higher, right? And in the Old World, if they find more copper, it just increases the imbalance because it's more copper that it wasn't mined. So where did it come from? And I heard in the discussion from the last video with Michael Collins, they were speaking that there is the question of the recycling of the copper. So let's look at that recycling. They would give an example that you start with a sword, and then the copper starts to be damaged, and then you end up with a knife, and then you end up with a pocket knife, and then you end up with a needle, right?
Yeah.
So the copper are disappearing, right? So that means that was even more copper. So that means that I'm even more right, because
I'd say.
there was more copper. So if they say that there was 60% of the copper in the archaeological record is missing from recycling, we have to increase the deficit to the numbers almost of the copper that is missing from the new world. So the more arguments they try to find to justify their actions, they're just burying themselves more in terms of the academics, because if copper disappears by recycling, then it means there is even more copper in the old world, and the mines didn't produce anything more than it was recorded. So the deficit is still bigger. So it only helps our cause.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I suppose I never thought about that way with the recycling and then adding to the deficit. Yeah. Let's see. So, is there anything else you want to touch on Ricardo's paper on that? Well, that part of Ricardo's paper, the mining. Any questions from you guys at all?
There's a lot of aspects I didn't know about. Definitely, I didn't know they were testing a lot of the stuff at the parts per billion level. That's
Yes.
pretty interesting. I was not aware of that. That's certainly you can prove a lot more once you get down to the nitty gritty percentages of stuff. But I don't know. There's a lot to break down there. It's yeah.
I'm definitely have to read through it more thorough
Yeah.
than I have.
Well, I think this is very straightforward. We might be. There is a chance. There is some 0.1% to whatever people want to call that we might be misled by the evidence that we are finding, right? But that's the only way to do science.
Of course.
We have to follow every single lead, and this one hasn't failed us yet, because every single thing that we find doesn't go against us. It's help us to go further and further and closer to the truth. And the thing that is more criticized, for instance, in my paper, what I was criticized for from the two academics on X is that if I want to engage in academic discussion, I must adhere to the protocols of academic writing. And therefore, whatever I am presenting, my evidences are meaningless, because I didn't wrote it with an abstract, because I didn't wrote it quoting every single thing that I'm writing on the paper with a reference to another paper. Well, I did put every single mine's papers on every single mine, because if I was interrupting the discourse, then the people that are not aware of this situation and might have interest in reading about it wouldn't read it, because it's an academic paper, right? So in my thought, if I make it half, I'll perhaps manage to engage people that are just interested in this to read it as they would read an article, right? And the academics that can read an academic paper would find easy to read and relate the evidence that I'm presenting. Apparently not, because one of the critics I receive is, your pages aren't numbered.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, really? That's the big.
They're hitting you with the
It probably
technicalities.
says it on the side on the
They're willing
academia.
to. People are willing
You forgot the cover letter on your TPS
People will
reports.
critique anything. Yeah.
I know Rubate wanted to ask, in Ricardo's paper, Voyage to and from the New World, he outlines a possible route for shipping. Is there any intention to properly investigate probable routes for evidence beyond what you have?
I'm not sure if Rubate is aware of the Phoenicia, because you covered in your video, right?
Mhm.
So he must be aware of that. That in itself is an evidence that it can be done. In fact, we both met Boyd Tuttle that was on the ship and
Yep.
and actually did the journey. In the paper route, if you read or listen to the podcast that I've done today, or see the paper that I'm referring, it's from an anthropologist that I think she's on X, and she made this very brave paper showing lots of evidence of transoceanic travel that goes back thousands and thousands of years before Columbus. So there are many. I can't call it empirical evidences because we can't prove such a thing beyond the reports and what we have of those times. But there are so many of these tales and so many of these reports
Mm.
that shows of voyages, either from China coming from the Pacific, either from coming from the Mediterranean, from the north of Europe. You have also this very interesting book that I did the research on from an individual called Peter Deroux, that describes these 6 priests and a bishop that escaped Portugal about 150 years before Columbus, and they go to America. So all of this is documented in the books. They're just not looked at.
Mhm.
It's just, look, if you when you are looking at what to you is the color red, and someone comes to you and say, no, that's yellow, you don't pay attention because you are certain it is red to you. So when we talk about, as soon as transatlantic travel is mentioned, and that's the only part that it was criticized from the academics, when that wasn't my point. My point was to prove that there is not enough copper in the mines in the old world to for the artifacts that we find in the archaeological record. But it touched the point that you can't prove transatlantic travel. Well, I can't prove it, but if you go to history that is 500
Mhm.
years ago, you also prove it by what you find written, right? So in many cases, there is no archaeological data. It's just what we have in the records. So if we can follow that for some things, why we can follow that for everything that we are researching, right? And in this case, in transatlantic travel or transoceanic, in this case, because there's also travels in the Pacific, uh, it seems obvious that we have to look at the sources that we have, because from China to many countries in the Mediterranean to the north of Europe, there are so many reports of going in there. So, well, it's just a matter of choice of what you want to accept or not.
I would also say a good point is, can it be disproven too? The scientific method, can it be proven that that was not possible at that time, or it was not absolutely not happening? You know, are there people on the other side arguing that? And I think that would be a much harder argument to make because
Mhm.
Sure, you
I'm
understand that
definitely of the I think
if I
people were getting around back then.
if I drop a log near the coast of Portugal,
Yes.
it will take time, but the AMOC will take it to the Americas. And then it continue the journey and it will come back to the UK or again to Portugal, because that's
Yep.
what the AMOC does. It does 1 to 4 miles, nautical miles an hour going to the America, and it goes 2 to 5 miles, nautical miles an hour coming from the
Mhm.
America into the into Europe. So, and as I defend in my paper, I think that they sailed south because that's what most of the reports show. They sailed south from the Mediterranean towards the Canaries. They did a small stop, and then they sailed directly into the United States. So what I think is they traveled very light, so they can take all the provisions that they need for the almost 2 months of voyage across the sea. And then when they're coming back full filled with copper, they would stop at the Azores, right? Because we have evidences there of Mediterranean anchors, stone anchors. They stop at the Azores, and then from the Azores, they make the other half of the journey into either the south of England, where there are the tin sources. So it's a hub, because the copper in the Bronze Age were fueled by 3 or 4 hubs, and each one of these hubs have tin and not copper. Copper very still, but very little compared to the amount that was coming out. Right.
Mhm.
I think the Uluburum ship is the clearest example, because Cyprus was one of those hubs. In fact, the etymology of the name Cyprus means Kypros, that is copper. So the island itself, the name is related to copper. But the copper as a hub, because the only thing that Cyprus produced from 4500 to 1000 BC is a maximum of 32 tons. That's it, 32
It's not a
tons.
lot.
And the Uluburu ship was carrying 10 tons, which correlate up to 32 years of the whole of the old world production in 1 year. The whole world, old world. So not
Wow.
just Cyprus, right? So, and how many ships were traveling back and forward filled with copper? Where is the copper coming from? Because the
Right.
production by year is so small that it barely reaches the point where you can export it. It's consumed internally. Every single of these mines, the papers, all of them, one after the other, say the same thing. There are a few mines that produce a little bit more and could do exporting, but 90% of them, what they produced was consumed internally. Very little of it was going to export because they couldn't afford it. They didn't have the copper enough to do that. And we
Mhm.
these ships going about with 10 tons of copper sailing back and forward in the Mediterranean. So how is it possible?
Yeah. Where is
So
that surplus coming from? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because anytime you mention anything about like what we're talking about, the Michigan's copper field in the Bronze Age, the first thing you'll find on any internet search or anyone that is in the academic mainstream side of it, it all came from Cyprus, or it all came from right here. Like, and as you claim, or as you said already, with all they could only produce how much? What, 30 tons? You said Cyprus did. So
Cyprus
yeah,
has a maximum production of
maximum.
32 tons,
Yeah.
11 to 32 tons.
Wow.
Okay, but I think it's funny is that every time I try to look for anything online, it says, "Oh, it came from Cyprus." It's called Cyprus, so actually where copper comes from. Well, it's not a very
Well,
big island
it's because
comparatively.
of the isotopes that they test
Okay.
that are not copper. So you are receiving pure copper and then you are mixing it with other stuff and selling in as it is yours. If you remember, you were at the conference. What did
Mhm.
that indigenous individual told us about how the ships came? They came during the night, so they
Oh
couldn't
yeah,
see the ships and watch the technology that the people that was coming to for the copper see. It was a very secretive operation. In that particular case, I don't believe all of them
yeah,
were like that. Uh,
yeah. That'd
but
be tough.
that group particularly only came to load the copper at night so that they couldn't see the ships. So
Wow.
and if you have the if the world believes that you are producing that amount of copper and you are the one that has one of the hubs selling it, you're not going to tell everybody, oh no, there's lots of
Yeah.
that. You just sail across the ocean. It's not that difficult. You sail across the ocean and you'll find lots and lots of it, and you
You're
don't
gonna
even
get
have to.
invaded by some people. Yeah, for your wealth if you
Sure, of course.
advertise.
So they kept the
Mhm.
secret very well kept. The secret was very well kept.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
And as we're on the topic, I brought this up a few times earlier when Ricardo mentioned the Phoenicia, and I did a video on this one, telling the whole story. Well, the short version story, but basically in 2007, 2008, they built this ship based on a shipwreck that they found in the Mediterranean. I think it was 600 BC shipwreck, possibly older. I don't know. I just saw it said 600 BC on the website. But first, what they did is they sailed around the entire continent of Africa, which was claimed as that they couldn't have been done BC era, even Bronze Age, but they did it.
I mean,
And then
that's a
they
pretty
sailed.
big. It's a pretty massive chunk of land to be going around.
Yeah, yeah. Granted, they stayed along the coast, but then in 2019, 2020, they went across the Atlantic Ocean and made it to the Bahamas and then up north into Florida. I think it took them just over a month with just primitive. I mean, granted, they had to have some like radar and stuff like that, but I mean, yeah, just a wooden ship that technology was absolutely there thousands of years ago, just as much as this year or nowadays.
Yeah, they had
No,
a they had
no modern propulsion.
they had a small engine, but they never used it until the mission was done. So the first
Okay.
time they turned the engine on, they already had set their mission. They were already at the destination just to navigate into the port. That's the only time they used the engine. In fact, for those that might claim that they are using the engine, they had such a small amount of fuel that it wouldn't last more than 1 hour, 1 hour and a half to put the ship into the port.
And that only makes sense to comply with modern regulations and safety and all that. Port, getting into a port,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of have to. That's
I believe you are correct.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be allowed going in sail and bumping into everybody.
No. Imagine you going into a boatyard and you bump into somebody's yacht or somebody's fishing vessel, and
It's
Sorry, it's the
millions
wind.
of dollars. Look, it's 600 BC. What do you want me to do?
exactly. I know they don't have insurance. Then what do you want to do about it?
So yeah, I thought that was when I was first mentioned at the conference. I had no idea about this, and I didn't realize that they'd done 2 different trips with it. So, but yeah, I think it's at the Phoenician Ship Museum in, was it Iowa or Ohio? One of the two.
Well, I've been recently informed, and I hope I'm not betraying anyone. It's because I think they said it at the conference. It's going to Utah.
That's where it's going. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're just building it again or something.
No, building it. No, they cut it into 1,000 pieces.
That's they cut it down. That's what it was.
So it will never sail again, right? But they cut it in a way that it can be put in 2 40 food containers and transported and produce an exposition of the boat anywhere in the world. So it can be assembled and deassembled very quickly right now, but it will never sail
cool.
again. Yeah.
It's still pretty neat. Just even have it on display, just saying, hey, they could have done it.
Sure.
No reason to not believe they didn't. Let's see. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. You mentioned that paper earlier also. I had it pulled up here.
Yeah.
The Alice Kehoe, University of Wisconsin Department of Anthropology. So, I mean, it's definitely that there are mainstream, like, college academics that are questioning the pre-Columbian contact in the Americas, if not trade at all.
She wrote 19 pages explaining not only is a political thing as it is an historical thing. So carry on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. I was gonna say I hadn't had a chance to read through the whole thing, and I know you did. So you can give a broad overview on it.
Yeah, no, it's 19 pages of example after example of the records we have from all the expeditions, way before starting thousands of years before Columbus. And one of the things that she states is, look at the people that have the records for the smallest ships crossing the Atlantic, and they did it in 5 foot boats. Or I don't want to because I'm not good with feet, but the smallest one, I think it's 5.5 meters. So that's
Okay.
what I meant. Yeah. So
About 20 foot, yeah. Okay. Ricardo, what do you think of the whole copper trade from UP through the Volga to the rest of Europe?
well, if they knew how to use the rivers in the UP area from the St. Lawrence or going from the north, they certainly would know how to use the rivers in Europe.
Oh, absolutely. And I know I saw something earlier about right here. The trade routes used by the Vikings ran from Kareli, Finland, along the Volga River. So it would make sense they found such pure copper in Ukraine if it was shipped by the Norse and sold throughout.
Well, they found it unmined, so they didn't find the copper entering there from trade. They believe the copper that they found is from there because of the levels of the purity of the copper.
Okay. Rubate. Phoenician ships were like an IKEA flat pack baby.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah,
way you
pretty much.
explained to us how it was built, it's pretty much like that because it doesn't require. Well, when you have today a wooden ship requires to put some thing in the middle, some kind of fiber between the planks, or
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying, right?
Mhm.
On the hull, the Phoenician ship doesn't need that because every single piece of wood is pressed in with such strength, and when it gets the water, the wood swells,
Kind
and
of
so,
like a barrel in a
yeah,
sort.
and
Yeah,
exactly the same kind of things, and they are
wow,
shaped in a way that they fit with one another, so it doesn't need. And
that's
and
awfully cool.
and you will remember better than I do, Jeff. The first voyage and the second has a huge difference in time, and the ship was not repaired. It just kept on the water for all of those years. It's what, six
Mhm.
years later or 9 years later? I don't remember.
I think it was 2009. 2009, I think, is when they went around Africa, and then 2018, 19 is when they did across the. Yeah,
So 10
2019.
years, 10 years later, yeah, and
Yeah,
it was kept on the water for 10 years. So
that's unbelievable. Yeah, and the only issues they had on their journey from Europe to America was I think they had some mast issues and they stopped in Algeria.
That would
a-
have
a-
And
probably happened
then
in the old days too.
exactly.
You'd have to stop
yeah,
and get repairs and stuff. Yeah,
yep.
that's pretty realistic.
Do we
And
have any?
the whole process of building it was using the old methods. So all the tools that they used was as the same tools that are in the archaeological record. They didn't use any modern tools to produce it.
Wow. Did they by any chance document that process, or that'd be
Yes, it's. I think they have
oh,
it
they
all
did.
in film. Yeah, I think they
I'd
have it
love to
all in
watch.
film.
I have to watch that. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it after this, and I'll send it over to you
that'd be
because I
awesome.
got the links to all their websites and news stories right here, and I'll put the museum, the Phoenicia. I'll put all this stuff in the description as well in the video here. So, all
I
right.
haven't been following. I hope that the animosity against the museum has settled down because it was
Oh,
pretty high.
yeah. I actually was just gonna pull that up next. So I haven't been able to find any pictures on their website at all. So I just took some pictures that I had from or my video here.
Because
So
that's
museum
another
needs to
thing.
put here.
That's another thing that is on the paper. The tablets that
Hmm.
they going exhibit at the museum.
Yeah, the Michigan tablets. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are mentioned in the paper as real. So
Oh, really?
yes, so
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah. So this museum is in addition to the Baraga County Historical Museum in Baraga, Michigan, and Jay Wakefield has donated. Oh, I think it was $1 million to get it started.
2 million.
The museum.
No.
Did he donate 2 million or was it 1 million?
Yeah, I think it's 2 million.
2 million to do it. Okay, I know it's 2 million for the whole project, but it's gonna add. It's gonna almost triple its size. And right off the bat, people weren't very happy about that in certain online areas. And this one I got they even tagged you in there, put a picture of you
Oh.
on there. But I haven't seen anything since any of the clap
Well,
back
I,
on.
I actually entered in contact with archaeologist
Okay.
recently. He's a young graduate. He didn't. He isn't an archaeologist for long, but that doesn't take any credit or give it.
Mhm.
It's just say that he's a young man. And I went into Facebook and found him and messaged him directly and said, "Look, I just want to try and understand instead of hostilities. Let's discuss and let's try to understand what's going on here. Right? Why did you create a 300 plus page document just to speak ill of things that are going to be played in the museum?" And apparently he was also criticizing the copper and the transatlantic travel and all of that. And he replied to me that he is very against the tablets,
Mhm.
but he has nothing against the transatlantic or the copper or the evidence that it was exposed. So that must be
Okay.
coming from, yeah, that must be coming from someplace else. In fact, he did read the papers, and that was all that he had to say to me. So
Okay.
Hmm.
Huh. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, the Michigan tablets. I'll pop that up quick. I got got a couple pictures of them. Oop, wrong button. Did a video on them myself, a short one. I'm actually hoping to get Wayne May on the show sometime in the next few months too, because he's probably one of the I'd say the expert on them modern days.
he's a
But
wealth of information regarding that.
yes, I bet. I mean, yeah, just listen. He's yeah,
I
can't
think it's
talk right
40
enough.
years of experience with it. So
Let me find it here. Yeah, museum. I know they broke ground on it on the eighth. Were you up there for that, Ricardo?
oh, I was there on.
You were
I
there.
spoke on the first day.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't. I watched all the news, local news stuff on it, and I didn't see it anywhere, so I wasn't sure.
No, I spoke right after dinner. I think
Okay.
before the Q&A, which was unfair because people then didn't remember the other presenters, so the questions.
Yeah, there was a lot going on during that Q&A. Sorry, folks. Let's see here. Thank you. Rubate. What is this? Crypto stores. Okay. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not much into the crypto stuff. I lost enough messing around. All right, here we go. Uh, right here. Okay, I can share this now. I almost removed Ricardo. So yeah, oh, this is one of the Michigan tablets, front and back. These were found in burial mounds throughout Lower Peninsula and other surrounding states, I believe. Up to 10 to 30,000, they figure.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and as soon as you mention this, academic side just immediately shits on you and calls you an idiot or a racist. So,
Well, they have several problems with them. First of all, they say
Mhm.
that the language used wasn't invented in some cases, or discovered. That's the not invented, discovered when the tablets were found. Others are very coincidental of the time of the discovery of the language or the creation. In the case of what they say that Ogham is not an old language, they say it's a recent one. But
okay.
these tablets contain up to 9 languages in the same tablet, or elements of 9 different languages. So they are made to be universal, whatever they are.
Yeah, I mean, I do have my own criticisms on a lot of the tablets. Some of them I have a hard time believing they might be real, but others, I mean, absolutely could be. And even if one of them is real,
That's all it takes.
yeah, exactly, just one. Yeah, had a bunch
Might
of.
be forgeries there, might.
Mhm.
Are the people that are showing them trying to fool anyone? They aren't. So if they're forgeries, we are all being fooled. So,
Mhm.
and I think they think that these people are trying to fool other people, but you talk to them, they really believe on what they're showing you.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
pretty fascinating looking. I haven't seen all those pictures, and it's quite
Well,
cool.
there are fascinating pieces amongst the
Yeah.
tablets, and I've been privileged to
Oh,
manage the few. There are some amazing ones.
I think this might be my favorite one out of them all, though. I don't know
That's
why. And you have the Mark of the Mound Builders, the mystic symbol, as Henrietta Mertz coined it. Yeah.
And some of the artifacts have this childlike characteristic.
Mhm.
It's almost like the person who made it was training or learning how to do it, right?
Right.
And that's why they use both sides, or if it is the stone, every single side of the stone was worked. It might be someone was learning how to do it and using every face of the stone that they have.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
it's just
and
a personal interpretation of mine.
yeah, and then also you think about it, if well, they're forgeries, they're copied from something else. Well, if they're copied from something else here, way back then, that means there was something else here for them to copy from.
Sure. Well,
So
in terms
there's
of the
two
language, you have to realize they are still denying that the Native Americans had languages and
Mhm.
had a reading system. Some of them have, and they only recognize one, and from a very recent time.
Mhm.
When in fact, it's like you talk to the indigenous people and say, "Yeah, we have a writing system from back when," and the academic says, "No, you didn't." So that's where we stand.
Yep. What is the argument against them being real? So when they were found in 1889, 1890 area, in 1898, they started sending some to the Smithsonian, and was it they call them the Soper Savage fakes nowadays, and they're saying that the one man, the two guys, Soper and Savage, they were burying them, bringing people out to the Indian mounds, and then having them people dig them up and saying, "Oh, you found this in the ground. Look at that. It was already there." But the amount of artifacts that have been found, like I said, up 10,000 up to 30,000, and
Yeah.
surrounding states and in the Lower Peninsula, and even some. I think Wayne May was saying even back into 1849, so way before this would have even been a scandal.
And yeah, and if you practice the forgery of 30,000 pieces, what's your intent?
You're wasting more time. You could just work in
Because
a job,
because you're not selling them. If you
right?
make 100 forgeries during 20 years of work, or even 200 or a
Hmm.
thousand, I can understand that, right? But 30,000 and don't sell any of them,
Yeah.
you go and bury them just to say, look what I found, and be
And
forgotten the
it's, I
next
mean,
day.
it's not like they're selling tickets to observe them in a
No,
museum or
no.
anything, or or a traveling salesman.
The
It's not.
problem
Yeah.
is the problem is they are full of elements that shouldn't be there in
That's a
terms
big
Mhm.
factor.
of historical narrative as we see it today. They are filled with symbols, imagery, uh, and even letters from languages that shouldn't be there. And then you have this factor in archaeology that I learned recently, that is undisturbed ground. Anything that isn't found in undisturbed ground is immediately discarded as a forgery. It doesn't mean that it is a forgery. It might even be real, but the fact that it was taken off disturbed ground immediately is discarded because they can't
Wow.
accept it. They have to find it with the ground has to be pristine when they start to dig, compacted exactly as it is everywhere around. If it is disturbed, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. It's immediately considered a fake. So that's why many of these species are considered fakes in the first place. Apart
That
from
leaves
all
a
of the
lot of
reasons that I
potential
gave.
for potential error. I definitely see the safeguard, but you could be ruling out a lot of real things too. With that
Hmm.
standard. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ojibwe did have the birch bark scrolls that were burned. So
Yes.
the Ojibwe did have language in Anishinaabe. I got to look into that, the local indigenous tribes around here, and maybe talk to some of them before there's no more stories to tell on that end. Yeah, yeah, that degraded. That's it's.
Sure.
That's
And
very true.
have you seen
Mhm.
the have you seen the post from Vince Barrows? His response from the Cherokee leader.
No, I did not.
Well, I can say it because it was posted online. So the Cherokee leader wrote a response on his request of information because he's digging into Pishka Mound and thousands of figurines that are originally from there and are now dispersed. And there is a war with the Smithsonian and the Valentine Museum, and they keep going back and forward. First they have the pieces, then they don't have it, then they have it again, then it's not allowed to see them anymore, and then he has to contact the tribes if he wants to see, so he's contacting the tribes. And although the Cherokee made an ACPRA request for some of the pieces, the leader of the Cherokee replied to him a very well written text, almost poetry, explaining that although the Cherokee are called for everything, the Cherokee are the last of the tribes, that they came and supplanted those that were exterminated or forced to move or just disappeared, and they took their land and took some of their costumes. Um, a little bit of their culture, and they are not the ones to be called in ancestry because they are very recent in indigenous terms. So, and he quotes the Soto, he quotes chronicles from missionaries, several of them in the beautiful text that is, I think Occam's Razor published it.
Okay.
Explaining they were never mentioned in any of these chronicles because they didn't exist as a nation back then, right? So I was very surprised to see such level of honesty and in reply to Vince.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. Did he have it posted anywhere or?
Yes, he posted on X. If you go to
Okay.
his account, it's not that many posts behind. Probably
Okay.
30 posts behind or something like that.
Yeah. I'll look into it after this. But we'll put Andy, why don't you actually I can just do it here. I'll put Vince's X in the chat here. If anyone wants to check it out themselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a talk with him probably this weekend. I'm gonna record
Okay.
it. Yeah, I want to know how things are because it's one of the cases where academia can't run and hide because he has the emails, he has the answers, he has all of it, and they're making such a mess of it. It's unbelievable.
Huh. Yeah, I gotta look. Yeah, no, that's pretty neat stuff. How much of the copper was mined and traded by the native population? Wouldn't this take on history imply that they were much more organized and effective than supposed?
Well, the question is that the problem here is you go and talk with the indigenous nations, and I've talked with a few, and they say that either they have oral tradition knowledge that they mined it, but they didn't use it, apart from the small ornaments that they produce from themselves, or they don't even mind it. Most of them say we didn't mind it. We saw it. We took for some of our pieces and create our what you today call artifacts or ceremonial pieces, but we didn't do it anything with it. We didn't find it any other use. So some, I don't doubt, probably took it and sold it to South America. I don't know, right? But we know how much is found in South America, and we know how much South America produced. So there is not that much need and that much disparity as we find in the old world. So even if some of the copper of the Upper Peninsula reached South America, it's not a number that justify the 500,000 tons to 5,000 tons of copper in the archaeological record. So even if they sold 100,000 tons to South America, there is still 400,000 tons to be resolved. So I hope I answered Ro. And they were for sure much more organized. Whoever was doing it was very organized.
Yeah, because I know when the French first came through, I think it was the Jesuit priests, them and even like Champlain and all that. The Ojibwe in the area said we didn't mine it.
Sure,
we didn't make this stuff, but we love copper. They revered copper.
Of course, yeah.
So
I mean, especially for them, it's very malleable and very easy to work. into all sorts of instruments. You know,
Extremely
Yeah,
malleable.
that's super cool.
I actually made that last night with stones. I had a piece of
Really?
float copper, a big rock, and a little rock that fit perfectly in my hand, and I made that little spear point. I got a video I'm
Awesome.
working on. Should be out Monday.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So
I got
no
another
modern,
very
no
crude
modern
one.
hammers, huh?
No, just beating the hell out of it.
That's cool.
You get a lot of free
My
time.
My hand really hurts today.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have invented this very curious thing. So they mixed a little bit of wood with a little bit of iron. They call it a hammer.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
want it defeated
an
the
awfully
point though to
useful
use a
tool,
hammer.
Jeff.
I had a hammer right next to me, but that defeated the point of what I was trying to do.
It's a wonderful
Sorry,
alloy. You
I
mix
couldn't
wood and you mix
resist.
iron.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
And if you apply a little heat, Jeff, too, it makes it go faster.
That'll be in the next experiment. I'll be adding fire to the mix.
Keep in mind that to melt it, you need almost 1,000 degrees
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah. No, it's Celsius, right?
Celsius. Yes.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Oh,
Just kidding.
actually, I can say it because I think I have it.
I think it's significantly lower. Fahrenheit.
Okay.
No, I think it's significant higher.
Yeah.
Significant higher. Okay, I'm reversing it then.
Magwai. What's
I
going
don't know.
on? brother?
I'm American. I don't know.
Let me see.
Yeah.
I know that I
Isaac's
have
our
it.
politics guy in the group.
A little bit. We get
A little bit.
So
Native copper used by many tribes to make ishi sticks for flint knapping. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Use copper to make the stone arrowheads and whatnot.
I'm looking forward to that video, Jeff. Definitely make sure I
Yeah.
gotta see that.
Yeah, it'll be just a lot of me sitting down and beating copper with a rock so I can get a fast forward a lot of it.
That's pretty cool.
Have they found any Viking dwellings mining so much copper? Have they found any Viking dwellings mining so much copper would have been a long task? I'm new to this theory. They actually haven't found any, and this this would have happened way before the Vikings. This mining, but they haven't.
Go on. Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say they haven't found any permanent dwellings in the Upper Peninsula, and that's assumed because the winters are so cold and harsh, especially if you're on Isle Royal or anywhere in the Keweenaw. You're surrounded by Lake Superior, which is very cold, windy, and wet and snowy for 6 months out of the year, it seems like. So, as of now, we don't know of any permanent dwellings or any dwellings at all around the mining. And if there was anything around the mines, they're probably got destroyed when the new mines in the 1800s came through and any logging, which is why they're so hard to find anything up here unless you have a metal detector and dig, because it's gotten completely flattened over the last 150 years by industry.
It would have been emulsified by now, I bet, by machinery and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1800.
1800 Fahrenheit?
Yes.
So that's the melting point of copper?
More or less. It depends, but
More or less, yeah.
It's funny. Sophie came in and said real numbers, so she hopped in when we were talking about Celsius. She's from Peru.
From Big Mexico.
Big Mexico, yeah. Vince Burrows, just did he miss about Vince Burrows? Ricardo was talking about the updates on what he's doing.
Oh, Shaman, it's nothing that I haven't told you today. So it's about the Pigash mount and the Cherokee reply. It was the last development. So,
Yeah, probably. You're welcome, Kumakal. All right. Is there anything else we had wanted to cover that we've gone over here? Anything else we wanted to add at all, Ricardo?
well, see if you have any more points that you want to touch.
I didn't have anything else lined up for this time around. I think we hit everything that I had set up and hoped that we talk about. So
Kept it tight. So
yeah. just over an hour here. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap her up there. So we're
Thank
gonna
you for
start.
having me once
Oh,
more.
absolutely. No, thank you for coming on. No, it was like I
Very
said,
knowledgeable.
yeah, better
a
than
lot
us.
better than
speaking
last
to.
one.
No, for I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I know we talked about it in the back room. But when the copper paper came out that Ricardo shared on X originally with the isotopic analysis is the day that I made my first YouTube video. So
That's awesome.
him, Occam's Razor, Rick Osmond, everyone else that worked on that isotope analysis, and all the men and women that came before with the A.A.P.S, especially Fred Rydholm. He was one of the original theories and loudest voices and writing books about the old copper.
Yeah, and where are those books? I've actually hold them because I've been in another association that has this collection.
Okay.
But fascinating books to read, and they're not available because they speak differently. So
Yeah, if you try to find Copper the Untold Story at all, it's like what, $600 on eBay. So
because I opened the book, and at the beginning of the first chapter, where did the copper came from? And so, oh, it's the same thing that I wrote.
exactly. Yeah, actually, Chris sent me some of those books. Some of his books that he had.
No, he's
Fred's books,
wonderful.
so,
He's wonderful.
yeah. So if you're out there, thank you. We got him in the other day. All right. So, Ricardo, where can people find you, and what do you have coming up next?
So people can find me at as the name that is on the screen on X at Ricardo Calvario 1. You can also find, well, related to copper. That's where you can find there, and at the Institute for Natural Philosophy academia.edu page. So you just write Academia Edu Institute for Natural Philosophy. You'll find the papers about the copper mines. You'll find also satellite papers as helping to understand the transatlantic travel. You'll find one dedicated to the Uluburum shipwreck. And if I may, I will recommend everybody the podcast from the Institute that is Universe Unveiled by Sarah and Jacqueline, and the Institute for Natural Philosophy.org. And I think it's all. And thank you.
Okay. Yeah. No, we'll put those links in the chat here, and then we'll also drop them in the description at the end of the video. Isaac,
Yes.
what you got going on? Where can people find you?
Oh, same place as always. X and YouTube. Same name is on the screen. Ricardo, thank you for joining us. I learned a lot. I never thought I'd be wanting to look into Phoenician shipbuilding. That's something that triggered in my brain. I'm awfully interested in that now. So definitely learned a lot tonight. And but over on my channel, we address political and cultural stuff and try to do it with a sense of humor the best we can. But and then I show up here every couple of weeks with Jeff and Andy now. It's always fun to step back in time and reflect on history a little bit and get out of the modern day struggles a little bit. So it's awfully fun, but great to join you gentlemen on the show tonight. So
just before Andrew, sorry, I forgot. This is I was just called to attention to this. I forgot to mention this Saturday and Sunday we are going to release 2 new videos in the YouTube channel of the Institute for Natural Philosophy with me and Jason debating exactly this discussion of academic world related to the copper. So we'll be discussing that this Saturday, and on Sunday we'll be discussing his struggle with academia, with his research. So those are 2 videos that I think people will like too. Sorry, but I was just remember about it.
I think we had, Andy, do we have his link in there for the Institute for
I
Natural
threw his
Philosophy?
X in there, yeah.
Okay, why don't you throw that link for the, I think it was that last one I sent you.
Oh, Shaman saying Ricardo has a chat on the copper releasing Saturday as well. Yeah,
I was gonna say, as soon as you started talking about that, I pulled it up because I was gonna say it before we got going.
I'm terrible promoting myself. So.
Occam's Razor. Yeah, Occam's Razor on X there. Go follow him. Great guy over there. Andy. And go follow Isaac too. Go sub to his channels, his X.
We're growing.
Good.
Yeah,
Good
so
to hear.
you can find me probably in bed for the next day, battling these allergies. I'm dying.
I would
Haven't
rather
been
not
talking
find
much,
you.
as you can tell. You can
I'd
probably
rather-
hear it. It's horrendous. Other than that, Friday, drink up. We, sit there, BS, talk about anything we feel like talking about. And then
Yeah.
Tuesday, leveling up for gaming if you guys like games and whatnot. That's about it for me. A lot of allergy meds.
Well, you
I
better
hope
get
you
better.
get better soon.
Yeah. And as for me, like Andy said, we have Drink Up. That's tomorrow on Drink Up 906, our other channel we do. And then I'll be working on my video. Gonna put some stuff together of me making my very low grade spear points
Okay.
so one of them, this one was actually made out of copper that was inside of a rock, inside the rock still. So I busted it out of the rock and then made that out of it. So that should be out hopefully Monday. Get that Monday.
Can you shape me some copper in like 5.56 millimeter diameter, somewhat spear shaped a little bit, just out of curiosity?
I can try. I might use an actual like iron hammer for that one, steel hammer.
Extruder? Yeah, okay, we'll see.
All right, before we close out, we're gonna hit the last few people in the chat. Guy, thank you for being here. Shaman, thank you for joining us. Rube, you as well. You've been shouting out on X all day. Thank you very much. Congrats. Wow. Yeah, forgot about that. So I won tickets to a conference that Wandering Wolf is doing in Arizona.
Wow.
I won a ticket to it. So guess I'm going to Arizona for the Quest for Ancient Civilizations
That's
conference.
awesome.
Yeah, I got to figure out flights and hotel yet, but it's like a week after I get back from Egypt too. So you got to figure out work.
Find
I
a
don't
good
know, maybe.
cane, a backpack, and a tent.
Yep.
Might just do that. Yeah. No, thank you, Shaman. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thanks all, Paul. Thanks for hopping in.
Yes, thank you.
You got some. I've got Occam's Razor. Idaho Mike, morning, lads. Well, you hit us at the very end here, but still, thanks for popping in. He's in
Well, he
China.
is
It's,
Yeah, he is. Yep.
Yeah.
Other side of
Yeah.
the planet.
all right. Oh, Jesus, more. Good. Yep. Go sub to Ricardo X and Institute for Natural Philosophy. Had a stroke there.
Yeah.
All right. Think we got them all here. All right. Yeah, you better go. All right. Once again, I want to thank everyone for watching. Ricardo, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Isaac, thanks for being here each time we do this. Try to do it every 2 weeks, every other week, but I think some things come up. And always since we've added Andy to the lineup, the full-time
All
lineup.
downhill.
It's fun. I have fun showing up here. So thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. It's
Nice to
a little
meet you
change of-
guys. Thank you.
You as well.
Absolutely.
Learned a lot. So thank you, Ricardo. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely we'll be in touch. We'll have to do hopefully we get some more updates and developments in the copper story of the copper down the road. We'll have you on again for sure.
Sure. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Once again, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you.